What is up, you guys, and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I'm going to be talking with you guys about gerontology. If you do not know, gerontology is one of my minors, and I feel like it's one of those things that not a lot of people know what it is. So for today's video, I'm going to talk about what gerontology is, why it's one of my minors, what I want to do with it, and we're going to talk about some of the classes that I've taken for gerontology. So I know I did a video all about my neuroscience minor, so this is kind of going to be like all about my gerontology minor. So yeah, if you guys want to learn more about gerontology and my gerontology minor, then just keep on watching. So gerontology is the study of old age, the process of aging, and the problems associated with older adults. So not a lot of people know what gerontology is, and the older adult population is not the population that most people typically want to work with. But we have an increase of older adults, which we consider older adults people who are 65 and older, and the baby boomers are reaching that demographic every day. So if you guys don't know, we have a very huge increase in the amount of older adults because of the baby boom cohort. So I want to hit gerontology from the psychological standpoint. You guys know I'm a forensic psychology major. All of my majors and minors are always down in the description box if you guys are interested. But I want to hit gerontology from a psychological standpoint. So at my school, gerontology is under psychology, just like my neuroscience minor is. So it is a psychology minor, if you will. So the research that I've been doing, if you guys don't know, I am a research assistant. I've been doing research for the past year and a half, 2 years now. So the research that I have been doing is with older adults, and I've been looking at ageism, which is the discrimination of a person based on their age, and particularly discrimination against older adults. So that's where a lot of my research has been. You guys have seen in some of my vlogs I've been doing like annotated bibliographies, and I had to do like this big huge paper to turn into my research professor, and that was all on ageism, specifically gender differences in ageism. And the study that I was conducting last semester was a measure of ageism in college students. So I really love gerontology. It's very interesting. The one thing that I am really interested in, I touched on this in all about my neuroscience minor video, is I'm really interested in dementia and like finding a cure and finding a definitive cause for dementia, specifically Alzheimer's disease. And there are other mental illnesses and things that I'm interested in the older adult population, such as like depression and things like that. So I do want to be a clinical psychologist, and I do want to work with the older adult population, because older adults, specifically older white males who are 85 and older, are more likely to commit suicide and actually succeed. So I want to go in and kind of figure out ways to decrease those numbers. I mean, we do have an idea of why that demographic is the most vulnerable to suicide, and that is because at the age of 85 and older, you've lost a lot of people. You may not be in your home, you may be in like assisted living. So it's a lot of social factors that goes into why that demographic is more vulnerable to committing and completing suicide. So I want to be a therapist for those individuals as well, because we do not have a lot of clinical geropsychologists. So when I'm done with school, the many years that I have left, my title is going to be a clinical geriatric neuropsychologist. So it kind of encompasses everything that I've done. I'll have my degree in forensic psychology. I'm going to do a fellowship in gerontology, and you know, I have like my neuroscience background and all of that. So everything that I'm doing, all of my minors and majors and all of that kind of just lumped together. So yeah. So some of the classes that I've had to take for gerontology. So last semester I actually took psychology of aging. So I went through all the psychological things. So we talked about like the changes in the brain, we talked about mental illnesses, of course, and you know, we touched on like dementia, suicide rates, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's disease, things like that. And then I also took sociology of aging, which just looked at things from a sociological standpoint, and I did a whole paper on suicide among the elderly and the sociological factors that goes into why older adults are more likely to commit suicide. So like I said, things like losing a loved one or financial reasons, things like that. And then I have to do a practicum. I don't know if I mentioned this on my channel, but I have to do a practicum. I'm more than likely doing that next semester, so my last semester of undergrad, and I'm going to be doing it on the clinical gerontology floor here in my college's town at the hospital. So that's going to be really fun. Well, not fun, but you know what I mean, like interesting. I've also had to take this class called Human Diseases. I talked about it in one of my vlogs as well because I was complaining about how hard the class was, and I was talking about how I got a B on my test when the rest of the class, well, majority of the rest of the class failed. So that class was like an elective that I could have chosen, and we basically went over like the different diseases of the body, and we did touch on like diseases that older adults are more vulnerable to get. So that was a very interesting class. I also took a seminar. It was forensic aging. I don't know if I talked about this on my channel, but my forensic aging class hit a requirement for my forensic psychology major, and it also hit a requirement for my gerontology major. So we looked at all of the legal aspects of the adult population. So we talked about like wills and power of attorney, and we talked about Alzheimer's, dementia, suicide. That seems to be a main thing in all of my gerontology classes that we touch on. And then we talked about like a lot of legal aspects. We talked about like elder abuse and things like that, and we did do case law for that class, which was really interesting. I love case law. And then another required class that I had to take was Introduction to Gerontology, and so we just basically hit every topic. So we talked about housing, we talked about illnesses, we talked about family, we talked about all of that stuff. It was a really interesting class, but I had taken most of my 400 level classes. So prior to me taking my Intro to Gerontology class, so I knew most of the information already, so it was kind of like a refresher for me, but nonetheless it was a bunch of good information. I highly recommend, if you have gerontology classes at your school, to take one. It's very interesting what you can learn. Even though you may not be interested in working with the older adult population, I definitely recommend you taking one of those classes because you really do learn a lot, and you may find yourself wanting to work with the older adult population. So yeah, a lot of the classes that I've had to take have been very, very interesting. I've really loved all the classes for my gerontology minor, and I feel like I just have a soft spot in my heart for older adults. I am really interested in Alzheimer's because my great-grandmother did die from Alzheimer's, so that one kind of hits home for me. So I'm very interested in studying Alzheimer's. Of course, there's a few theories, but there's not like one, cause. And if you guys don't know, there is no cure for Alzheimer's, so I kind of want to work on that as well, because I feel like with all the advancements in technology and medicine, I feel like there has to be a cure out there, and that maybe we're missing something, or maybe, we're not looking at something the right way. So I definitely want to be on a team of people who are looking for the cure for Alzheimer's. So yeah, that's all I have to say about gerontology. I feel like that was a really quick video, but I just wanted to touch on some things for you guys, because I know some people are probably trying to figure out why I'm minoring in gerontology. What does that have to do with anything, what gerontology is? So hopefully I touched on all of the important things in this video. If you guys have any other questions, of course you can leave them down in the comments. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel before you leave, and also hit that post notification bell so you're notified whenever I upload. And I'll see you guys in my next video.